The following is a feature presentation of our nation's sports show. Tonight, on a nation's sports show, we continue our conference previews for the upcoming NFL regular season in 2026. For the last 2 weeks, we analyzed the AFC Conference. Now, we turn the page to the NFC. Up first, the NFC North and the NFC South. Next week, we break down the NFC East and the NFC West Divisions. Tonight, we also bring to you the latest breaking news in the NFL, the NBA, and so much more. It's showtime.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 o'clock here on the East Coast. You know what that time means. It is another edition of our Nation Sports Show live here on YouTube.com. Yes, it is I once again, that blind guy, in the host chair once again. I am Stephen Wyand, and thank you for joining me here tonight for another outstanding edition of our Nation Sports Show, recapping the latest news in the world of sports. And before I get to the latest news in the world of sports, got to plug the social media platforms. Up first on Twitter at ON_sports show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and we're right now, yours truly is live, riding solo here on YouTube.com, YouTube.com/Nation Sports Show. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to all your family and your friends that love the world of sports, just like I know all of us here on this show do. And there was a news story that broke earlier today that Terrion Arnold in the NFL, speaking of the NFL, the trade to Seattle is on hold. And we'll see what happens with that, because obviously he could be in some serious trouble, with these pending charges coming down the pike, and we'll see what happens. And also in the NBA, excuse me, the Buss family is looking to finalize the sale of the Los Angeles Lakers. Very, very, very interesting. Very interesting to see who will take hold of this team. And Jeannie Buss is looking to sell the franchise, and we'll see who takes it. So but speaking also of the NBA, Russell Westbrook announced his retirement. He announced his retirement last week, and Russell Westbrook, obviously one of the best modern players at the point guard position. The guy was a triple double waiting to happen. Just a lot of great stats that he put up with the Thunder during that 2017 season when KD left to go to Golden State and ultimately winning a championship with Golden State in the 2016-17 season. Arguably one of the greatest teams in NBA history. But back to the point at hand, Russell Westbrook has announced his retirement from playing professional basketball. And what a career. I mean, great years in Oklahoma City. He tried winning a championship with them, but couldn't get it done. Obviously, myself and Kevin and Joey, we talked about those Thunder teams that had Russell Westbrook, that had KD, that had James Harden, on the same team, and we ultimately that thought that Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant were going to stick together and be together for a very long time and winning championship after championship, but that is not what happened. And that is not how the cards fell into place. And Westbrook, ultimately, after Durant left, he put that team on his back and produced one of the greatest regular season performances, especially of the point guard position. Just incredible stats that year. Averaged a triple-double the entire year. That is the one season that really jumps out to my mind because that was a huge, huge stepping point in Russell Westbrook announcing his arrival as a star in the NBA. And just an overall pretty solid career for Westbrook. I mean, he's tried winning championships, but just the competition in that West is just so thick and so heavy. And I mean, facing his former teammate and KD and those great Warrior teams with Steph and Clay and Draymond, just really tough to overcome. And obviously, Denver and Minnesota. Then he tried going over to Houston with James Harden, and that didn't work out. And I mean, when you look at that trade from the Thunder to the Rockets in 2019, a lot of people thought that following when Chris Paul was there, that Westbrook could have been the answer because obviously Chris is one of the greatest point guards to play in the league as well. And just when he went to that Rockets team, a lot of people thought that potentially could have been the missing piece because of the great year that he had. But unfortunately for Westbrook and the Rockets in 2019, that was the only year that he played with the Rockets. And obviously the lockdown that ensued in 2020, and we all remember that. And just, I mean, Westbrook, he was trying to link back up with his former teammate and James Harden to potentially put together a championship team, but that didn't happen. And I mean, and just looking at the records, I mean, that Rockets team in 2018 was the best in the West, and then that 2019 team wasn't that great as far as on record. But still, when you got Russell Westbrook and you got James Harden, I mean, two of the best offensive weapons in the modern NBA. I mean, they're just literally a real life cheat code. And it's crazy. It's crazy to think that just looking at the teams he's been on, after he goes to the Rockets, and they failed to produce a championship winning team that year. Then he goes to the Wizards. The Wizards, they are who they are. Not a great team. Then he goes to the Lakers for a couple years, and this was the big one, for me, because this was the year, if I remember correctly, in 2021, that was the year when LeBron, Anthony Davis, Carmelo Anthony, and Russell Westbrook at one point were on the same team. And everybody in the media was like, oh, the Lakers are going to do it. They're going to repeat as champions because they won the Mickey Mouse championship ring in 2020 in the bubble. But the one thing that I don't do, and I know all of us on this show do not do, we do not jump on bandwagons and say that, oh, that super team's going to be, they're going to be the one to beat. Just because you got a super team doesn't mean you're going to win a championship. And that Lakers team struggled. And speaking of struggling, the one noticeable thing for me that also jumped out, not besides that great year that Westbrook had in 2016-17, averaging the triple-double the entire year, but the one thing that really sticks out is that his free throw shooting in his career early on was great. But as he got older, his free throw percentage numbers for some reason dropped. I mean, he used to be a 80-some-odd% free throw shooter. And then he went down to the 60s. I'm like, what the hell happened? I mean, but again, like Westbrook still, had that talent, to get to the cup and make his moves, but obviously, statistically, his numbers did go down. And as we all know, Father Time is and will always be undefeated. And he tried to win a championship with the Lakers just like he did with the Rockets, and that didn't happen. Then he goes to the Clippers with Kawhi, with Paul George, with James Harden at one point on the same team, and that didn't work. Because when you got individual stars that can't function and that can't, put their egos aside, it's hard to win a championship when you got individual-centric players trying to coexist. But they got to be willing to coexist and to put the team before them first. And as we all remembered, in 24, that Clippers team that faced that Mavericks team in the playoffs, the infamous comeback by Luka, by Kyrie, and the Mavericks in that playoff game. They're down 20-some-odd points. I think they were down 24. And they came back and they won the game. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. But again, Westbrook, he was a solid player. But the one thing that we will always remember about Westbrook is that there were times he tried to take over. And he tried to put the team on his back, and he just couldn't get the job done. I mean, I know myself and Kevin and Joey were watching that Western Conference Finals 10 years ago with the Thunder and the Warriors. And the infamous Game 6, when Game 6 Clay erupted and absolutely demolished that Thunder team. And Westbrook in that game was getting to the basket, doing his thing, but then there was also times where he was erratic with the ball and he was turning it over. And I'm like, dude, you gotta calm your team down, because that is what the point guard's job is to do. The point guard is the quarterback of the basketball team. And as we will remember Westbrook for his athleticism to the basket, for being a very competitive player on the floor, we will also remember his tendencies to sometimes try to take over games, and it blows up in his face. And the fact that Westbrook, especially in that game 6, was erratic with the ball, turning it over, and the team followed his tendencies and they panicked. And this is why the point guard's job is to settle everybody down. And another game that will be infamous for me watching Westbrook's career, and I know Kevin remembers this, in the NBA Finals against the Miami Heat in 2012, the infamous Game 4. Russell Westbrook in that game had 44 points. 44 points. Had a great overall game. But the one thing that he did that night that hurt the team in the end, he was over aggressive. And in the end, the Thunder were overpowered by Miami's big three and their overall team. And I remember after that finals, or even before the finals started, we were all talking, myself, Kevin, and Joey were talking about this, thinking, man, this team potentially could be back here year after year if they keep this core together. But obviously, Sam Presti had other plans. And he, obviously, as we all know, traded away Harden to the Rockets in the offseason. And it's very interesting when you read a news story that a player is retiring and all of these memories just start fluttering back into your mind. I mean, he was young when he debuted in the NBA. I mean, coming out of UCLA in 2008, he was practically 18, 19 years old. And again, I mean, all of these memories are just floating in my brain, and hopefully Kevin will join us here tonight. Hopefully Joey will join us here tonight. And hopefully Ez can hop on here. I know Ez has been dealing with some weather issues down there. Last week they got hit with that tornado and the power's been out all week. And the estimated power restore is between today and Friday. And hopefully he can get in his car and he can call into the show and give his thoughts and all that type of stuff. And but yeah, I thoroughly remembered before that final series started, we were all talking and saying that, man, this team can get back here because they have three great players and they had a great bench. I mean, Cephalosha and Ibaka, bunch of different players were on that team. Kendrick Perkins, Derek Fisher, Naquan Cook at one point was on that team. Again, I mean, when you're young and talented and you're having a great year, everybody thinks potentially, oh, this team's it. They have the resume to get here. They have the pieces to win it all. But as we all know, in every sport, there has been those great teams that have had the roster, but they just couldn't get it done. Because winning in sports, as we all know, is very difficult. And following the game 5 of that finals, I distinctively remember Jeff Van Gundy saying on the broadcast, they will be back. They will be back. And they didn't go back. And it's just crazy to think that the what if scenarios just start floating in your head, and thinking, what happened? Why did this trade go down to split this team up? And we'll never know. We truly will never know. And it just, again, an overall great career, by Russell Westbrook, retiring at 37 years of age, and had a great run in the NBA, multiple All-Star appearances. In the first round in the 2008 draft, he was drafted in the first round. He was the 4th overall selection. Just reading some of his stats here. Ending his career with the Kings, but also after he played with the Clippers, he goes to the Nuggets. And then that year, the Nuggets, the year that they went in, the year they went back to the playoffs, the Nuggets were the champions. Or there was a year that they won the championship, and they were trying to get back to the finals, and Westbrook was ultimately trying to win that coveted first ring. And obviously, again, that didn't happen. Again, finishing up his career with the Kings. MVP during the 2016-2017 season. 9-time All-Star. He was a 2-time All-Star Game MVP winner. 2 times first team in the NBA defensive team. Obviously, that he, in his prime, he was one of the best defenders. 5 times All NBA second team. And 2 times all-time third team. 2 times scoring champion, 2015 and 2017. He led the NBA in assists for 3 years in 2018, 19, and 21. So yeah, I figure I'll read his statistics. Figure I read his statistics right there for you guys. And again, Russell Westbrook retiring at 37 years of age from the NBA. And thanks for the memories, my man. Moving on to the task at hand, and that is the National Football League. Or no, excuse me, real quick. I want to pivot here for a second and talk about last night before I get into the NFL. Want to talk about on Monday Night Raw last night. Very, very cool main event segment with the Bloodline. And Roman Reigns and Jimmy and Jey Uso. Trying to get Solo to be on their side and him acknowledging him and all of that good stuff. And Solo in the end did not oblige, and he absolutely assaulted the tribal chief. And he said, "No, I am not going to do what you want me to do." And I thought the segment overall was really good, and that was a big showing for LA Knight last night. And massive, massive reaction when LA Knight came out and when Solo did not fall in line with the Bloodline. So we will see where this will be heading in the next several weeks. And Sunday night's main event is shaping up to be a card. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton is happening. And that match was made on SmackDown. And yeah, that card is shaping up to be, I think, pretty good. We'll see how that turns out. But getting to the task at hand today, and that, yes, folks, is the National Football League as we continue our conference previews and switching things over to the NFC. And I'll get things started with the NFC South. And obviously in the NFC South, you got the Panthers, you got the Falcons, the Buccaneers, and the New Orleans Saints. And this division is going to be very, very, very interesting because Carolina won the division last year with a under 500 record. The Bucs had a shot to win the division, but that didn't happen. The Saints struggled last year, and the Falcons, well, they're the Falcons, all right. And just getting things started with the Panthers, again, the defending NFC South champs from last year. And a lot of Panther fans heading into the playoffs were excited. Oh, we're in the dance. We're in the dance. Yeah, you're in the dance, but you're under 500. And they didn't deserve that home game because the Rams had the overall better record. And I know Kevin has talked about this. I've talked about this. Ezra and Joey have talked about this. We believe that home teams, or teams that the home teams in the playoffs, should be who has the overall better record. And I'm sorry, even though the Panthers won the NFC South record-wise, don't agree with it. Don't agree with it. An under 500 team hosting a playoff game. I will never understand that. That is my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. Carolina last year, up and down all year long, and they couldn't get consistent, performances out of Bryce Young last year. And then there were times where he was looking like the number one overall pick that had a lot of potential and talent. And he had several games where he was, streaking hot, and I just think that in order for Carolina to maintain a great year this year, they're going to have to be more consistent on both ends of the ball. You cannot be inconsistent. You have to be consistent on both ends of the floor. Because with the NFL being a week-to-week season and not like basketball or baseball or hockey, you have it, you name it, you have to be consistent and not fall behind so quick as far as record-wise. And Carolina experienced that last year. There were times where I thought they weren't even going to win the division because record-wise they were not great. And, got to give credit, to Bryce Young and to Chuba Hubbard, and those guys, on the offense led the charge last year, and they got hot, and ultimately they won the division. And I just think that, again, if Carolina's going to have a shot to make it 2 years in a row of winning the division, at least be well over 500. Do not be under 500 and winning the division by the skin of your teeth. Figured I'd do that for my buddy Bo and Ezra, who obviously get that reference, and obviously Randy does too, and I appreciate that as well, gentlemen. The Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are who we think they are. A team that just can't win the big games. Especially in their own division. Because those games are the ones that matter the most, because that will determine if you're gonna potentially win the division and have a shot to be in the playoff picture. Atlanta last year, up and down all year long. Michael Penix Jr., great young man. He's a great young quarterback. He's got potential to be, really good. He has a cannon for an arm. He can fit the ball into tight areas, and he has the talent, but man, he cannot stay consistent. And I knew when Penix went down in that Sunday night game, I believe it was against the Vikings. I believe it was the Vikings. But when Penix Jr. got injured on Sunday Night Football, I just thought to myself right then and there, oh, his season's done. He is cooked. And before he got injured, he had a good streak of games where he was 300 yards here, 250 there, good touchdowns that he was throwing. But then when Penix Jr. got injured, that's when they had to turn to Captain Kirk. And we all know we have primetime Kirk Cousins who cannot get the job done. And we all know this. And that is not a prediction. That is a spoiler. Kirk Cousins last year was not good at all. He was inconsistent as hell. Interceptions after interceptions. I still remember that game he had against the Chargers when he had I think he had 4 interceptions. I'm like, just keep throwing up ducks there, Captain Kirk, because you suck. And, yeah. I mean, when you look at Atlanta's team last year, heading into this year, they have potential. I mean, you got Kyle Pitts, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. You got Drake London, a young, incredible, gifted, athletic wide receiver who can leap and jump over defenders and make Randy Moss-like catches with the best of them. But again, not only do you have to have consistency out of your quarterback, but you have to have an offensive line. And the O-line for Atlanta was probably one of the main reasons why Michael Penix was injured last year and missed the rest of the season. Kirk Cousins and that offensive line did not adjust accordingly. And that's why Atlanta last year missed the playoffs. And again, this Atlanta team is going to be a very different team this year. Kirk Cousins in the offseason was traded from the Falcons to the Raiders. And now the Falcons have former Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, and we know Tua's story very well. Tua's a guy that cannot stay healthy. He is concussion city waiting to happen. Ever since getting that brutal concussion against Cincinnati about 4 years ago on Thursday Night Football, I knew right then and there he was not going to be the same player ever again. So it's going to be very, very, very fascinating to see if Tua turn the ball over can change that moniker this year. And obviously, in the preseason game, and obviously those obviously do not count or matter. But Captain Kirk's going to have to get Captain Kirk. I got Kirk Cousins on my mind. Damn it. Tua Tagovailoa is going to have to conquer those demons and get that proverbial monkey off of his back if he wants to have a chance to continue to be a starter in the National Football League. I mean, when you've been prone to concussions and throwing a lot of interceptions in the double coverage, triple coverage, quadruple coverage, it doesn't matter. But you get my point. But looking at Tua's numbers over the last 3-4 years, just the up and down performances on the field, and he's going to have to do better this year. Going to have to be better than that. Going to have to do better than that. Better with that this year, because um, going to have to do better with that. And I mean the change of teams for Tua is very fascinating into itself, because obviously he's played with Miami since he was drafted, and Tua's going to have to change his ways. This, to me, if Tua is the starter from here on out, if Tua is going to be the starter for the Atlanta Falcons this year, he's going to have to make it or they'll break him. Because if he has another failed season as a pro quarterback in the NFL, we live in a society today where, what have you done for me lately? And Tua has not done nothing. Tua has been so inconsistent on the field. I mean, there's times where he was throwing some of these passes, and I know all of us here on the show have talked about it on numerous occasions, but the hell are you doing, Tua? Throwing those balls into tight coverages, thinking that, oh, I got a cannon for an arm, I can fit that ball into a tight spot. Dude, you got to be better than that. You got to think smart. And the fact that Atlanta this year has a coach in Kevin Stefanski who is going to be, heading into the year, I think Stefanski is a great hire for Atlanta. I think that, obviously, multi-time coach of the year winner in Kevin Stefanski, he's going to bring some interesting schemes to Atlanta, and we'll see if he can crack the code and get Tua back on track. And when you got Bijan Robinson, one of the best running backs in the NFL, in the backfield, I mean, if Tua's struggling, just give Robinson the damn ball. Give him the ball. Bijan Robinson is, without a doubt, one of the best running backs in the NFL today. The guy is a touchdown machine. He is a 40, 50, whatever yard runner waiting to happen. If he can get between the tackles or find the hole and attack it and find the end zone and find some green grass in front of him, he's hard to tackle. And again, Atlanta has talent, but they're going to have to do better at getting, just like I mentioned with Carolina, Atlanta's going to have to do a much better job of not getting on the wrong footing. They're going to have to get off to a really good start and maintain that. Because obviously in the NFL, you cannot be up and down all year long, because 9 times out of 10, you will miss the playoffs doing so. So it is going to be fascinating to see how Atlanta does this year. Another team that's going to be very interesting this year to monitor is the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans last year struggled in the first half. And they turned the keys over to Tyler Shook, and Tyler Shook, and he was great. He was very, very solid. He was very good, surprisingly. And a team that did not look like they were going to have a really good year, he turned the team around. Ladies and gentlemen, what's up, brother?
Hey, you got me.
Yep, I got you, brother. You hanging in there?
What's going on, man?
What's going on?
Doing the best I can. That's about it.
I know that's right. So, just want to bring you up to speed real quick. So, I talked about the retirement of Russell Westbrook from the NBA. And gave my thoughts on that. And I kind of was reminiscent about, Westbrook's, overall career, and just some of his accomplishments, the triple-double year in 2016 and 17, winning the MVP that year, and just he was, he had a great team and Harden and Durant during those first couple of years, and they made it to the finals, and they missed, then they never got back with that core. Obviously, Harden was traded. Westbrook, was trying to win a ring, with Houston and Harden in 19. That didn't happen. Then he goes to the Lakers with LeBron and Carmelo and AD. That didn't happen. Then he goes to the Clippers, the ring chase. That didn't happen. Then he goes to the Nuggets to try to win the championship the year after they won. That didn't happen. I mean, the guy will go down as one of the best point guards of the modern era, but obviously what eluded him was that coveted championship. So, what are some of your memories of watching Russell Westbrook during his professional career?
I think one of the biggest things about Russ is his shooting ability, and that's one of the things that made him such a deadly performer in the NBA. His ability to not only go down the lane, but his ability to cut, and slice, and dance his way to the basket, the way he's able to step off on a jump shot, the way he's able to hit a three-pointer in quick succession. He had a rapid takeoff speed that many few could match. But the problem was he was his own worst enemy.
And I talked about that too.
Kind of reminds me of a Rajon Rondo kind of, where he would take the ball and he would not be as helpful. He wouldn't pass it off. He would be wanting to take the big shot. And in reality, you can't do that. You have to be as much of a role player with the other players as you are with anybody else. So with that being said, I think that was part of it. I think chemistry makes a big difference. And there was a lot of chemistry with that three of Harden, Durant, and Westbrook. But I think once that was splintered, I think when Harden got traded, it changed a lot of things in that dynamic. And I just don't think that Westbrook found that same connection that he did with those guys back in Oklahoma City. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and I don't think Westbrook could catch that lightning in a bottle again. And that's why his career just bounced against so many different teams over the years. I mean, you're right. He is going to go down as one of the greatest point guards to ever do it, but it's also going to be one of the biggest what-ifs in the NBA, very similar to all. What if he could have won that elusive ring? What if he could have won several rings? What if he could have won multiple, six-mans of the year or offensive players of the year?
Sure.
Those are all what ifs that will now never be answered. But I mean, Westbrook had a hell of a career, and he gets to retire on his own terms. So for me, that's a plus for him. And he had one hell of a career, so congrats to him, and hope he enjoys retirement.
I mean, retiring at 37 years of age, I mean, just the resume speaks for itself. A 9-time All-Star and 2-time All-NBA team, first team, 5-time second team. I mean, just the numbers speak for themselves. 2-time scoring champion, in regular season MVP. I mean, just what a laundry list of great statistics for Westbrook. And another thing, that just pops in my mind too about that run with the Thunder is that the year they went to the NBA Finals, they ran into LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade in the Miami Heat. And I know I talked about it before you came on, but myself and Kevin and Joey you know, you know, and when we were in high school, and just talking about how these guys are going to be together for a long time, and they're going to win a championship or two or three. And obviously that didn't happen. And it was shocking when that trade went down with Harden going from the Thunder to the Rockets. And I think Westbrook, was, like you said, his own worst enemy. And I think when Durant got traded, or no, excuse me, when Durant left on his own accord and went from the Thunder to the Warriors, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, essentially, winning a championship with the Warriors. And I think Westbrook during that year, he was individually thinking, I want to take this team out. I want to be that guy. I want to be the guy that, leads the team to a championship when none of you two could be on the same team with me and do it. But that's not how you're supposed to think. You're supposed to think about it from the team's perspective and not the individual's perspective.
Yeah, I completely 100% agree on all that. And it was, I think some of that was what led to the demise of his, not his overall career, but just the demise of, a possible championship. But,
And what also needs to be studied real quick too, what also needs to be studied is his percentages, because he used to be a great free throw shooter and a great mid-range jump shooter and three-point shooter. But then as the years went on, his statistics went down as far as his percentages. He used to be up there. And then his numbers went drastically down year after year following the 2016-17 season. I mean, he used to be an 85% shooter, and then he dropped down to the 60s. I'm like, the hell?
Well, I mean, that's what happens as you get older. Sometimes the style you play works against you, and I think that's what it was. I think he was at this point just jacking up shots, hoping they would fall and not mostly type volume, and that's why his percentages went down, because he was just jacking up shots for the sake of jacking up shots. It's it's unfortunate, but it's a lot of plays become now the norm. You see that with Shea Gilgeous because of Alexander. You see that with a lot of these guys who can shoot three-pointers. Even Steph Curry's guilty of it.
Sure.
But I think overall, I think his career, though, is pretty much set in stone. He will be inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame eventually. It's just a matter of when.
Another thing that I touched upon before you came on briefly, because I just now heard about this for the first time when I went live, the Terrion Arnold trade has been held off with Seattle.
I think that makes sense with Terrion Arnold's current legal battles right now. I think it makes sense.
Yeah. So it makes
to me they have to hold up the trade, because right now Terrion Arnold is more of a headache than a lot of people are going to realize in the end. I think the best bet is to hold off right now and let his legal stuff go by, whether he's guilty or not. That's completely up to interpretation, and that's completely up to the law. But as far as it goes, I think Seattle did themselves a better favor by holding off on this trade.
Yeah. With that being said, before you also came on, I was touching on the NFC side of things for the divisions with the NFC South first. You want to give your thoughts on the NFC South as far as where you think, like, who's going to do what? As far as like.
Yeah, I might as well do it before my connection decides to give out. So let's go ahead and do it real quick. I looked at the list today, and what I'm thinking is it's going to be a lower ranked. I think the division itself will be competitive, but I also think that it's not going to rank in the highest of records when it comes to divisional time, because I think a lot of teams are coming back from major injuries, rebuilding, whatever the case is. I think at the bottom of the barrel, I'm gonna have to go with the New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
Actually, don't want to change it. The Falcons. The Falcons, because I just remember the quarterback situation. We don't know who's actually going to start. Obviously, Michael Penix is not ready yet to come back. He's still dealing with that massive knee injuries and stuff like in the end of the year. You've got, of course, I've been hit in the head too many times talking Viola, who's, obviously concussion riddled and is currently dealing with back sores. And I don't know who's the third person in that area, but right off the top of my head. But man, they need to get their quarterback situation taken care of, because that's the most important spot, dude. You got to think about that. And if they don't get this situation taken care of, man, it's something wrong too. They may have, signed Drake London to a huge contract, Bijan Robinson to a massive contract. That's great and all that you got your core players set. I think you're still missing some weapons on defense, and I think that the quarterback situation is a telling sign of what's to come for this organization going forward. So they're going to be last. They're going to be last for sure. Number 3, I have the New Orleans Saints.
Okay.
And I think Tyler Shuck has done a very good job since he took over the quarterback spot for Desmond Ridder. I think he's
Ridder was terrible.
Ridder was terrible, and Shuck came in there. Even despite some losses, he looked really strong. And I think he's going to continue an upward trajectory with his first full year at quarterback. So I think personally that. Oh God.
That could only mean one thing. Kevin, what the hell?
Yo, what's up, guys?
Taco Bell.
Yeah, I mean, I figured if we're about to talk about the NFC South, I figured I'd at least give myself a name that also gives me the shits, other than watching that division.
Oh Lord in heaven, have mercy.
Oh Jesus. Anyway, so we were talking about figure we get the shittiest division out of the way, get the NFC South before we go to the North. But as you were saying, you got Atlanta 4,
Saints 3.
Saints 3. Yep, you're right about Shucks, because Shucks was really good last year.
Yeah, and also, the Saints would have had a better chance of winning. Hell, they would have had a 141 and 2/3% chance of winning if Brock Rexbetter didn't get himself suspended for the first 6 games. But that's all up to the math, and the numbers don't lie. So, and that spells doom for every team that's sacrificed. But anyway, but yeah, I just think the Saints have a way better team than Atlanta does at this point, and I think they're going to do better than they are. But let's go with number 3, and this is
2.
This is crazy. Number 3, I'm going to go with Carolina.
Okay,
Bryce
so
Young I got number 3. Number 2 is going to be Carolina.
Okay.
Because Bryson Young is still inconsistent. That's the biggest problem that I have with that team, is the inconsistency of that team, and especially at the quarterback position. And I'm sorry, but if Bryce Young can't find more rhythm than Lars live in 2009, then we're in trouble. Then they're in trouble. So
yeah.
But I think overall, I think that if Bryce Young can get himself into a good rhythm, I don't know if that's possible, but if he does, then I can see them making some waves. not, and by waves, I mean little kid waves, not like any big tsunami waves, not like
Not
Wyand
Bronson
is
Reed.
going to do this, but, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But, so let's just go with LSU. And then, of course, Tampa Bay, simply put, they got one hell of a team. Baker Mayfield, a quarterback. The division's still going to suck, but, it is what it is.
Kev, what are your thoughts on this very shitty division?
Kevin, I have been out of power for 7.5 days. So please entertain.
I got you. Honestly, I'm making a light out of the joke. I know it's a bad situation, but honestly, being without power is probably better than watching anybody in the division play football on Sunday afternoon. I mean, not without the air conditioning, obviously, but I'd probably rather watch a blank TV.
Dude, I'd rather be without power for 7 days than sit at Lambeau Field for 3 hours to watch a Green Bay Packers game.
That's a plus. But nah, the NFC South, or the NFC trash, I call it. Let's be honest, out of all the divisions in
Or
football,
NFC ass, if you want to call it that.
yeah, out of all the divisions in football, this division and maybe the NFC East, but even the East has a contender in that division. This is the only division in the conference that has not a single Super Bowl contender. I don't care who wins the champion or who wins the divisional crown. That's basically a bye for teams like the Rams, the Bears, the 49ers, the Seahawks. Like, they're licking their chops to get that 4-5 matchup again, just to play that team, or in the second round, vice versa. So, but honestly, I'm rolling like what Ezra said on this. I got Atlanta in fourth. That's a shit show. I mean, got Mr. Concussion out there, and I mean, neither one of them are healthy. I mean, you got one guy who's about a couple fries short of a Happy Meal at this point if he gets hit in the head again one more time, and then you got damn Michael Penix, penis, whatever you want to call him. He's about tore his ACL 5,700 times, and he's old as crap. I mean, he's the oldest rookie I've ever seen in the NFL come in the league at 26, 27 years old.
And you
Fast
can't
forward 2 years, he's 29, and I mean, coming off another ACL tear. So,
and yes, Bijan Robinson is one of the best running backs to play in this league. But my God, you can't just rely on Bijan Robinson to get you, points and yards and
no, Bijan's gonna take a beating this year. I'm sorry, and
oh yeah,
we know how that is. I mean, you bring in Kevin Stefanski, and we've seen what he does to Cleveland. Anybody that's good in Cleveland, he gets their ass beat because they
Yep.
overuse them. Like, that's why Myles Garrett kind of wanted to get the fuck out of there. But
yep.
I got Atlanta
Yep.
fourth. Now this is gonna surprise some people, but I got Tampa third. Man,
Wow.
they're in a mini rebuild. Yes, Baker's played some good football, but he's without his number one target, Mike Evans, departing for San Francisco. And then you got Emeka Ibuka. Don't get me wrong, he is a stud. And they got some good talent on the wide receiver, but they lost a lot on that coaching staff over the last 2 years, including Liam Cohn, who I talked about last week as being a key factor in why Jacksonville's doing so much better. Lost him from Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Baker's basically going on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. So, I mean, and he's played good, but when they were beat up toward the end, Baker kind of went down in the ship, and especially against Carolina, they didn't look very good. And then you got the possible trade of Vita Vea, who does not want to be there anymore. I mean, Tampa made it pretty clear they don't want to pay Baker. They don't want to pay their older guys. They want to basically start this over and reset the rebuild, do a little mini 1 to 2 year rebuild and retool and get other guys. So I got Tampa third. And this is what's going to shock some people here in my lineup. I got Carolina second, but I think Carolina's going to compete. I got Carolina second because obviously they made some good moves on the defensive side of the ball. Still don't trust that little midget Bryce Young. He's about like Kyler Murray 2.0. I don't trust him. I mean, he's made some ball. I remember that game. Was it against Tampa last year in the rain where, what are you doing?
Yes, that was the game. What the hell are you doing?
I do not trust you, dude. I'm sorry. I do not trust Bryce Young. I do not trust that offense. The best thing on that offense, they let depart for Pittsburgh, and that was Rico Dowdle. And now they honestly probably should have kept him and let go of Chuba Hubbard. I'm sorry, just me personally. But I mean the addition of Devin Lloyd though, that I mean he was in the running of defensive player of the year. He's a top 5 middle linebacker in the NFL right now. I mean, he had a hell of a season last year with Jacksonville, intercepting the ball, making tackles, forcing fumbles. Like he was all over the field. So at least Carolina's got they got their rock on defense. I will say that. Their defense is going to be much improved. But here's where the big shocker is. I got the Saints winning the division this year. I think they're going to be the team to go worst from first. Yes. And the reason why is the who was it? The quarterback, Huff or Shuff. He's pretty good, dude. I mean, the last couple games at the end of the year, they picked up some momentum. I mean, we all know how good their head coach is. What's his name? Dang, I can't think of his name. Right,
The
the head coach for the Saints. He came from
oh
Philly. What is his
Kellen
name?
Moore, right?
Kellen Moore, yes, Kellen Moore. We seen what he did for Dallas offense before he departed. We seen he
Yep.
took Philadelphia to win a Super Bowl before
Yep.
he left. So
Yep.
I believe he's going to have the Saints playing high octane offense, and I believe their defense is finally like retooling. Yes, they got a lot of injuries to deal with, and they lost their big nose tackle Brian Brissy. But I believe, honestly, I think that they might have a puncher's chance. I think them and Carolina's going to come down to the last couple weeks, and I think the Saints are going to get lucky. I mean, they're maybe by luck of the draw, they play a bad team like Atlanta, while Carolina's got a tough team to deal with because obviously Carolina plays that first place schedule because they won the division last year, and
Yep.
so I think the Saints are going to do it, dude. I got the Saints at number 1.
Yeah, and to bring my recap back to Tampa, I mean, the talk about what you talked about a second ago. Tampa last year really struggled a lot of times. They had a chance to take the division, but they didn't want it as bad. I mean, the infamous game against Atlanta when they blew that game against
Oh,
Atlanta on Thursday Night Football. All Baker had to do was get that one first down, and they couldn't get it done.
nope.
Tampa had chances to seal that division, and they couldn't. And Tampa, I think this year is going to struggle. So yeah, I agree with you, Kev. I got the Saints winning the division, but not by much. They'll
Yep.
squeak by. That division is going to be terrible. But
Yeah,
moving over.
all
Go
I'm
ahead.
saying though, dude, is if the Saints, I mean, have to go against the 49ers or the Seahawks, whoever is the 5th wild card team, they're gonna get their ass. They're gonna get blown out in New
Yeah,
Orleans. Sorry,
yeah.
in the Superdome, they're gonna get blown
The
out down there.
Silver Dome, brother.
Silverdome, they're gonna get blown out in their own home on their own home field. I'm sorry, but no, you're right. And also, don't forget Tampa
Well,
lost a long time.
that
Don't,
don't work for me, brother.
That don't work for me, bro.
that don't work for me, brother. That means they'll lose by field goal. But no,
Hold on, brother.
Don't forget, Tampa also lost their future first ballot Hall of Famer, Levante David, as he
That's right.
retired. So,
Yep.
got a big hole to fill for Tampa.
Yep. So switching over to the NFC North, and this is a complete polar opposite when it comes to divisions. Arguably one of the best divisions in football this year. The Packers, the Lions, the Bears, and the Vikings. I mean, this division is going to be very tough to call. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Kev, if you want to.
Y'all could go first. I'll be I'll back on just a second. Tell you my daughter her medicine.
Oh no, you're good. You want to go? You want to go ahead, Ez?
Sure, I'll take it. All right, here we go. This one is going to be one of the best divisions in football. And trust me when I say it, it's going to be one of the most competitive divisions. Obviously, number 4, I'm going to go with the Vikings. Obviously, they're trying to get their quarterback situation taken care of. They obviously signed Kyler Murray. I almost called him Call of Duty Kyler Murray, but I was trying to refrain to make it COD. But sorry, no COD. But Look, Tyler is great. He's got a great throwing arm, but the problem is he's very inconsistent in his play. And we know that from seeing him in Arizona. And we know how. Don't even get me started on Max Prosper. That dude is a shit show and a half. And the big news, they lost Jamal Adams for the remainder of the year too. He went on IR, so he's done. That was a big deal there for them. They lost him.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. JJ McCarthy will get healthy. He'll try to fight for his spot back, and I think he will get it. I think he will get a spot back because I think Kyler will be too inconsistent, and it'll push the head coach to say, "Hey, we got to make a change," and it put JJ back in there. But the only problem is JJ is not only inconsistent himself, but he's also injury prone. That was the whole story past season or two, is the fact that he suffered injuries and has been taken out of the game. And I'm wondering if he could stay healthy this year, what are the Lions or what are the Vikings' fortunes? And so that's my biggest concern.
Yeah.
You got that, Steven?
Yep.
Okay, cool. At number 3. At number 3, I have the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
As far as my signal's holding out, this is actually fucking great. I can actually be on the show more than 5 minutes. Unreal. But I got the Lions. And the reason why is because while I think the Lions are going to do better this year, I think they're going to have a higher record than they did last year. The thing they battled through was injuries. And, I mean, yes, they did lose Dave Montgomery, but they still got one of the best running backs in the league in Jahmyr Gibbs. And they got a returning Sam Laporta. That's one of the big pluses. And they still got some great players on defense. I know Kirby Joseph was listed originally, I think, at the beginning of training camp on the PUP list, but I think he will be back, if I'm not mistaken. So they will have Kirby Joseph back on defense, he's a great help for those guys. And obviously Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, give me top 5 best linebackers / edge rushers in the league, bar none. You have him with the beast at that position. I think the Lions will definitely have a better record overall. Number 2, excuse me. I'm gonna go with Green Bay.
Oh, okay.
And the reason why Green Bay is because Jordan Love's gonna come back healthy. You've got Tucker Kraft back at tight end, one of his most deadly weapons. You still have great players. You've still got what's his name? The one who always gives me a headache every year. The guy with the big helmet. The one who always wears the Guardian cap. I can't remember. Romeo Dobbs.
No, Dobbs is gone. Dobbs is in New England.
Yep.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Thank God. Not my headache anymore. Dude, it's been a long off season. Leave me the hell alone. But and it's been a long 8 days, so leave me alone there too. But it's I think they still got many threats on offense and defense, and of course by October they're going to get back Micah Parsons, which scares me even more. And I don't know if he's going to be apprehensive, but I think he's going to come back with a vengeance. He's going to go back to prove a point, because he could have been a contender for possible player of the year at his position. If it wasn't for his injury, and also of course Myles Garrett, going in there and being a beast like he did. But I think they'll be a number 2. And number 1 is Chicago, and that's because of obviously the defense has changed a lot in Chicago. There was a lot of, unfortunately, some releases because of money and changes in personnel. But I really think that our coaching situation, especially what we saw even though it's a preseason game, what we saw in the preseason game with Randall L calling the plays, for a little bit, calling the offensive plays for Ben Johnson. I think that was a really, really cool thing to see him go out there and do his thing and really get us some good points with Tyson Bagent. But Caleb Williams is a big story in that he is lighter. He's lost 10 to 15 pounds. He's eating better, sleeping better, and I think he's going to be faster, and I think he's going to be even more deadly at quarterback. I don't think the Madden curse is going to exist in this case. And it's not just because I'm a Bears fan. I think, and I am superstitious, but I don't think that's going to be a factor for this year. I think Caleb's going to have one of his best years as a quarterback, and he's going to be more consistent. And they still got some great weapons. They still got Kyle Monungai. They still got, the 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets. You still got Loveland. You still got Komet. You've got all these great players. You got Fienden. You've got all these great, new kids that they got in the draft. And I'm just overall excited for this season. And I think if they can keep Green Bay out of that spot, which fortunately we were able to do last year, I think the Bears have a very high chance of winning the division overall. And that's my setup. So once again, it's going to be Vikings, Lions, Packers, Bears.
All right.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with anybody in that list because that's going to be a tough competitive division. Me, it's going to be tough, dude. I wouldn't be wrong. I wouldn't hate anybody who honestly said Minnesota's got a chance to win the division. I couldn't be mad at it because all 4 teams, I think, have a chance because we can hate on Kyler Murray all we want. I mean, he's probably ready for Grand Theft Auto 6 instead of Call of Duty this year. He's probably about to jump on that game since everybody in America's waiting on it. I can't, what's his name? Kevin McConnell has any quarterback in that system playing good football. I mean, Sam Darnold came in and played good football. So, I mean, I believe Kyler's going to be probably the best version we've ever seen since early in his career. I think we'll probably get the second best season or even the best season Kyler Murray has ever perpetuated because he's got Justin Jefferson still. I mean, he's actually got a receiver to throw to. He's got Jordan Addison. He's got Jawan Jennings. He's got that tight end. Hawkinson. He's got TJ Hawkinson. And Brian Flores always has a defense. I'm gonna pick Minnesota 4th, but I'm actually gonna go on edge saying they're gonna be close to going over 500. And I would not be shocked if they can be higher up or even win the division. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Green Bay. And I've got my reasons. Yes, for one, Parsons starting the season on the PUP. That's most of their pressures. They do have a strong defense, but their defense is going to be slack to start. And I think them starting slow without Parsons is going to eventually doom them, considering they've had the other teams above them in the division that's going to jump off to more wins. So I think Green Bay is going to play a lot of catch up, and I don't think it's going to work. And another thing is they lost Romeo Dobbs. They lost, I believe, somebody else at receiver too. And Josh Jacobs supposedly may be disciplined by the league and could miss the first 4 or 5 games due to the domestic violence situation that occurred this summer. So if that's the case, I'm just going to go out on the record and say I do not trust Jordan Love, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, our brother from another mother, JT, Joey Thornton. What's going on, man? Come on.
Hey, sorry, I was fixing my audio settings.
I know you good.
Nice.
But what's going on, gents?
What's going on? We're just talking about the NFC North right now.
All righty.
Kev, continue.
Okay, but perfect timing for this point. But like I said, 3rd, I got the Packers. Josh Jacobs could be suspended. Parsons going to start on the PUP list. Yes, they got a great defense and McKinney and all that. The problem is this. I think I would trust Diddy at a Diddy party, at a baby oil party, more than I trust Jordan Love throwing the fucking football. And that's it. I mean, I would trust Diddy at a baby oil party that more than I would trust Jordan Love throwing a damn football. And Jordan Love has all this talent in the world and all this potential,
Oh
but
my
he never
God.
reaches it because he always makes these Bryce Young like, what are you doing decisions? Like, what are you doing, dude?
Put
And
that in the time capsule on August the 18th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7:15 Central. Kevin making a Diddy reference. Oh
yeah, and
my
I'm just saying, I definitely trust that more than I trust Jordan Love, dude. Jordan Love,
oh my God.
he has these plays that make a boneheaded decision, and I don't think it's going to change. Now, and here's the other thing: when we're going strictly about quarterbacks, I trust Jared Goff as well as Caleb Williams more than I would trust Jordan Love, and that's fact. But
Wow.
again, the Packers could show something, and again, I would not be surprised if either four of these teams come out and win the division. I'm not surprised. Therefore, I will say my second place team, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say both of these top two teams are going to end up with the same record. So I
Okay.
think they're going
Wow.
to win the division with the same record, tiebreaker, whatever. But I'm gonna go with the Bears only because of the first place schedule. You know that shit's kind of rough. I mean, the Bears are going to be hella good. Don't get me wrong; they're going to be elite. I get that. They're definitely a playoff team. Like them, and I mean, there's only going to be one team from the NFC East and the NFC South making the playoffs because the wild cards are going to be in the NFC West and the NFC North. That's what that's for. I'm telling you now. But I got the Bears finishing second only because I think again a harder schedule. I mean, yeah, Caleb is that dude. We know that offense is going to be great. Ben Johnson is an elite for a reason. But imagine the storylines with that. Damn, Ben Johnson going back to Detroit, the game on the line, season on the line, or the division on the line. That's going to be a hell of a story. But I'm going to go with the Bears only because I think Dan Campbell took a year off. They struggled, and I got the Lions winning with the same exact record for the tiebreaker because, dude, Dan Campbell, I think he took that year off, dealt with a bunch of injuries, was going in and out with coordinators, didn't know how to call the plays. I believe this year they fixed that. And again, to me personally, we talk about your Bijan. Jameer Gibbs is that dude. He might be RB1 for the entire National Football League because he is that good. And let's not act like, yeah, they lost David Montgomery, but they went out and got Isaiah Pacheco. He could fill that role perfectly as that power thud back to come in there and give Jameer a break and still do good. You still got Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, you still got Sam Laporta, like Ezra said. You still got Jared Goff playing high-level football. I mean, you got Hutchinson out there getting another year under his belt. He might have a Max Crosby type dominant season out there on the line. So just for that reason, I got it as a tie between both of the top two teams. But I think by tiebreaker, I think I'm gonna say Detroit 1, Chicago 2. But both are gonna make the playoffs, in my opinion.
Very, very, very interesting. Joe, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'll knock it out next. So, there's going to be a lot of comparisons with what Kevin just said. Obviously, fourth place to me is definitely going to be Minnesota because, yes, I get it. The Vikings have Jay Jettis. Yes, he's still one of the top receivers in the whole league. But at the same time, you got a quarterback on one hand that is so obsessed with playing Call of Duty, he can't even learn how to use a booster seat to save his life. And second, you got then you got a quarterback on the other hand who has freaking ice packs for feet or ice packs for legs and feet because he can't seem to keep those parts healthy to save his life either. So, I mean, yeah, you got a great receiver like Jay Jettis, but you have two below average quarterbacks who are going to be trying to get him the ball. If one sucks, the other's going to play. And if he sucks, then my God, the Vikings are shit out of luck. So, yeah, Minnesota is going to be dead last. Record wise, I'm thinking, I'm I'm gonna be really nice and say 6-11 at
Mm.
best. At worst, I'm probably gonna go 5-12, maybe 4-13. Because honestly, I don't see the Vikings doing that well this season. Third, I'm definitely gonna put the Packers in there because, like Kevin said, Josh Jacobs is gonna be suspended to start the year. Michael Parsons is gonna be on the PUP list for God knows how long. I mean, they're saying he may only miss 4 to 5 weeks, but I can pretty much guarantee it's gonna be a lot longer than that. We're probably talking 2, maybe 2.5 months at this rate. So the Packers are really going to fall apart on defense because of that. Yeah, I know the Packers do have Xavier McKinney out there on the corners, but the Packers, I just cannot put a lot of faith in them. I think the Packers, record-wise, I do think they're going to struggle to start, but I can definitely see them trying to make a comeback and finish on the right side of 500 before the year's out. So I'm going to say at best 9-8, at worst 7-10 for the Packers. And then the Lions and the Bears. I mean, you got these two teams here that are so evenly matched on both sides of the football. Because on one hand, you got Detroit that, like Kevin just said, has the number one running back in pretty much the entire NFL in Jahmyr Gibbs, a very, very decent backup in Isaiah Pacheco. You still got Jared Goff throwing the ball. You still got Amon-Ra St. Brown, your top receiver, catching the ball. You still got Aiden Hutchinson on defense. You got Dan Campbell back there being the head coach. I mean, this Detroit team looks near unstoppable. And then Chicago, they look almost unstoppable as well because you got Caleb Williams, who completely turned himself around in his sophomore season and had one of the best years of his life. Not to mention, year one under Ben Johnson, I mean, that was a no doubt success. And then you still got DeAndre Swift back there in the backfield. And even whenever Swift was out, you still had Kyle Monangai, who turned in some pretty impressive performances last year. And then that
You got to
defense.
remember, Joey, real quick, you got to remember those two as a duo. If you remember, one game they averaged over 220 yards together as a duo on running back. That's pretty
right.
insane to think about.
That's right. They sure did. And then, that Bears defense, they got better over in the offseason. So, this is probably where I'm going to have one very slight difference. I don't think it is going to end in a tiebreaker. I do think the Bears are going to finish one game behind Detroit. I would say Detroit is probably going to finish 13-4. At Chicago, I had them finishing 12-5. I really do think it is going to come down to the final few weeks of the regular season between Detroit and Chicago. So, yeah, both teams look great on both sides of the ball. So, Detroit, Chicago, Green Bay, Minnesota are my 1 through 4.
Very interesting. Now, as far as for me on the NFC side things, before I get to the NFC North, I'll go real quick as far as who I think is going to win. I got Atlanta at number 4. I got Carolina at Carolina at number 3. Tampa at number 2, and New Orleans at number 1. NFC North side of things, before we always give you, Joey, the NFC South, pretty much what you guys just said. I mean, I think that the NFC North is going to be one of the top divisions in the NFL this year. I think that all teams are, or 3 of them are going to finish over 500. I agree with Kevin's opinion that the Vikings are going to finish 4. I got Minnesota. I say 9-8. I mean, again, Kyler Murray, his first year in Minnesota. He's got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, those two great receivers, and Hawkinson, at tight end, just great, great offensive weaponry, for Murray to throw to. But the thing is, can he stay consistent? And that will be answered as the regular season progresses. Number three, I have Green Bay. Again, Green Bay, I think, has talent, but again, it's going to be very, very interesting to see and monitor how they do without Micah Parsons, because Micah Parsons is going to be out for several weeks as the season starts, going to be on the injured list, and we'll see if their defense, led by McKinney and company, are going to be able to get this thing done, because we all know that Green Bay last year, they struggled, absolutely struggled to get it done when Parsons was out with the torn ACL. Number two, I have Kevin's opinion on this is very fascinating. Talking about he thinks Detroit and Chicago are going to finish with the top overall records in that division as far as same records. So I thought it was very interesting. I have Chicago at number two. Again, like Kevin pointed out, like you pointed out too, Joey, the schedule is going to be very, very tough for Chicago. But I think Chicago has a fighting chance to potentially win this division. I think Chicago potentially could be one of the wild cards this year. I mean, can Caleb Williams, overcome the potential Madden curse? We'll see. And I think that that talent is going to be on full display. Running back, tight end, wide receiver. Obviously, Ben Johnson, great offensive-minded coach. We'll see if that defense can get it going this year, and Chicago can continue to be consistent. And we'll see if they have a chance to win the division. But I have Detroit winning the division. I mean, when you got that offense led by Jared Goff at quarterback and Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. Oh, by the way, paid a crap ton of money. I forgot about that last week. Didn't he get paid what was it, 50 some odd million or 60 some odd million or something like that? Something like that. But Jahmyr Gibbs getting a massive contract, and good for him. He deserves it. And Amon St. Brown and Jameson Williams and the returning Sam Laporte. I mean, that offense is loaded. Detroit, I think, will rebound this year. I think they're going to get back to the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. That division is going to be really tough to navigate, because all four teams, I think, are going to be very competitive, and I think it's going to go down alongside the NFC West as the best divisions in football this year. Now, Joey, what are your NFC South predictions?
All right, my NFC South predictions. Fourth place, I have got the Falcons.
Okay.
Mainly because Bijan, he is literally the driving force behind that offense for Atlanta. And I know they still have Drake London and Kyle Pitts back there. But
Joey, just before you continue,
for Atlanta,
Joey, hold on. Before you continue, Ez, go ahead, Ez.
when you're talking about Bijan Robinson, there's only one question I got to ask you. How you know? So I'm gonna continue. Sorry, I got to get in a couple of excitement thoughts before I lose connection.
Gotcha. But anyways, yeah, back to Atlanta. I mean, yeah, they do have two quarterbacks on their roster, but you got one that's literally gonna be like JJ McCarthy, having ice packs on his legs and his feet because he can't keep either one of those healthy to save his life. And then you got another quarterback who literally has spaghetti noodles for a brain because he's been hit in the head way too many times. So, I mean, you can't really put much faith and trust in Atlanta this season.
No.
You really can't. Third place, I am going to go Carolina. Mainly because Carolina, they did get a huge upgrade in free agency with the signing of Jalen Phillips. But day one of training camp, whenever their star linebacker Nick Scalverdin went down with that torn ACL, that was literally Carolina's leader on defense going down for the entire season. And I can guarantee you his leadership is going to be missed on that defense. I mean, and not to mention with how good he played in the Hall of Fame game, as long as he can stay healthy, Bryce Young may have some competition in the form of Haynes King. Yeah, you still got Ted McMillan back there as your number one receiver. You still got Tommy Tremble out there at tight end, and then the Panthers just recently brought in former Miami Dolphin / New York Giant / former retired player Darren Waller in at tight end. So that could provide a little bit of a spark for Carolina's offense, but there's not much you can really put behind Carolina at this rate. So Carolina's my pick for number 3.
Okay.
At number 2, I'm going to go with the team that, even though they finished dead last in the NFC North NFC South last year, was technically the best team in the NFC South division-wise, and that is New Orleans. New Orleans, they definitely got a lot better in the offseason, especially signing Travis Etienne to that 4-year deal to help out Alvin Kamara back there in the backfield. You still got Tyler Shuck, who really had a great rookie season last year once he took over as a starter for Spencer Rattler. My main concern, though, is Chris Olave, because he has had a lot of injuries happen to him over the past couple of years. And I'm not too sold on that Saints defense. I mean, they could surprise everybody, but me personally, I'm not too sold on them yet. And then, of course, number 1, that leaves Tampa Bay. Obviously, Baker Mayfield is the best quarterback in that NFC South division. The Bucs may not have Mike Evans anymore, but they still got Chris Godwin, and they still got Emeka Egbuka. And even though he technically requested a trade a couple weeks ago, Vita Vea is technically still on the roster, and I don't see him going anywhere, especially with this season about to start up here in a few weeks, unless something just magically tends to happen. But record-wise, I'm going to say Atlanta. I'll be nice to give them 4 wins.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I'll be nice to give them 4 wins. I'll say 4-13 for Atlanta. I would say either 8-9 or 7-10 for Carolina. New Orleans, I'm gonna say 9-8. Tampa, probably gonna go, I'll say 10-7. I mean, there's not gonna be anybody in this NFC South race that's gonna have a dominant season, but there's also not gonna be a whole lot of competition in the NFC South. I mean, that's why I got all these teams close together. Like I said, Tampa Bay, 10-7. New Orleans 9-8. Atlanta, I'll say 7-10. I'm sorry, Carolina 7-10. Atlanta 4-13. I mean, it's going to be close, but it's not going to be as competitive. And I can honestly, once again, see the NFC South being one of the worst divisions in football. And that's just my overall opinion.
Yeah, as far as record wise for the NFC North, I got, like I said, Minnesota 9-8, Green Bay, I say 10-7, Chicago, I say 11-6, and I got Detroit at 12-5.
All right.
But also, Joey, before you came on, Ez and I were talking about the news that Russell Westbrook of him announcing his retirement from the NBA. Any thoughts?
Honestly, I mean, I kind of saw it coming. I mean, I didn't really like foreshadow or foresee it coming, but I mean, there's not really much Russell Westbrook can do in the NBA anymore. I mean, the guy was in the league for 18 seasons. I mean, he was literally known as the triple double king whenever he was ramping off triple doubles left and right for Oklahoma City. But after his days at Oklahoma City, he literally just became a team hopper. And as far as player wise, he was honestly more of a bench player than he ever was a starter. So yeah, I'm not surprised one bit with him calling it quits. I mean, the guy had 18 great seasons in the NBA. I mean, he may have I don't I don't think he ever won an NBA championship.
He did not.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, he may not have ever won an NBA championship, but he still leaves a legacy behind. So
The one thing that
again,
we did talk about that we all agreed on is that Westbrook was his own worst enemy.
that is very true. That is very true. He was his own worst enemy because, I mean, as respectful of a player that he was in the first few years, whenever he was in an OKC locker room, it's like whenever he eventually was by himself in the Oklahoma City locker room, that's when things started to turn ugly for him as far as being his own worst enemy. And every team that he went to after that, I mean, yeah, he literally wrote checks that his ass could not cash. So I mean, yeah, he was his own worst enemy once he was literally by himself after of course James Harden and Kevin Durant left.
Yep. So yeah, with that being said, talking about Westbrook, and I mean, I know I talked about it before you came on too, Joey, that we remembered the game that he had against the Heat in Game 4 of the Finals in 2012 when he scored 44 points, and he was the sole reason, basically, why they lost that game.
Yeah, he was.
Talked about the infamous 2016-17 year, averaging a triple double the entire year. I mean, that's unbelievable. To even
I want to say he had like what 40 to 50 triple doubles throughout the whole season.
Yep.
And even on the games that he did miss a triple double, he was only like one or two either rebounds or assists away.
Yep. Um, I mean, that season he had in 2016-17 was just unbelievable. I mean, averaging a triple double the entire year. And I think that was the year that he was just so determined that he was going to lead a team to a championship. And obviously that didn't happen.
No, because they ran into a brick wall in the Golden State Warriors in the playoffs. And it was shortly after that that Kevin Durant decided to say adios to OKC and join Golden State.
Yes,
And
he
that's when,
did.
and that's when Russell Westbrook's downfall started.
Yep. And speaking of his downfall, what's also rather interesting, his percentages as a shooter went down after that year.
Yep. Absolutely.
Anything else you guys want to hit on before we get out of here for the night?
I do want to bring up something that I forgot to talk about last week, and that is the fact that finally, after days, weeks, months of saying it, it was finally done. Stephon Diggs signed as the new wide receiver for the Washington Commanders. I mean, this could not have come at a better time because we desperately needed a wide receiver 2 to back up Terry McLaurin. And like I said it for days, I said it for weeks, I said it for months. Adam Peters, please bring Stephon Diggs to Washington, and he finally did it. So now he has a year to prove himself, to prove that he still can move around like some of the best receivers in the game, and maybe, just maybe, if he can build an impressive campaign this upcoming year, especially with Jaden Daniels, as long as he can stay healthy, I mean, Stephon Diggs could very well be earning himself a nice little lengthy extension come next offseason.
I agree. Ez, what about you?
I don't really have much to talk about. Just want to say thank you guys for all the support as we're dealing with this, still dealing with all the BS out here in Northwest Indiana. It's been crazy. Still around 96,000 people currently without power, including us. There's still a lot of damage to clean up. There's still lines that need to be repaired. Obviously, mine, many others. Some people lost homes. Some people have passed on. It's been a rough week for everybody here. And so, but the community has banded together. They've done lunch, dinner, and breakfast for people at different places. American Legion, for the grocery stores. They've given out bags of ice, water, hot dogs, chips, and just, everybody's coming together. And it's a real awesome thing to see at a time like this. And we're starting to see progress, little progress, but we're starting to see it. And it's been rough. We're nearly 8 days in, but we're still moving. We're still trucking. And just like that, sports was going to keep trucking. Don't forget, everybody, to follow at 2 Sweet Cosplay across all socials. We just finished up the Expo. We'll have some photos up in just a few days here. What a great weekend it was. Some of the team was out there having a good time. I'm sure they have their own photos to share, so check out Wild Cosfit. Of course, that's my buddy Wild Card Andy. And, of course, Chicago Shaggy, my buddy Don Cox, who dresses, of course, as Shaggy Rogers from Scooby-Doo as his main cosplay. So check that out. Once again, thank you to everybody. And I should be back hopefully this time on a computer next week.
Yep. Joey?
Yep. But next week, we had a great show with you guys. Glad I was able to hop on and give my predictions for the NFC North and NFC South. And next week, we're doing our final conference previews with the NFC East and the NFC West. And let me tell you something. That NFC West is definitely, and I mean definitely, outside of Arizona, of course, going to be the most competitive team in the entire, most competitive conference in the entire NFL next year. Calling it right now. But,
I agree.
But yeah, it was a great show. Glad I was able to hop on here. And looking forward to being on here next week to give my thoughts about the NFC East and the NFC West.
Yep, gonna be a lot of fun, and next week when Kevin joins us, we'll hit the Russell Westbrook news because I've totally forgot to get his perspective on Westbrook's career, retiring, at 37 years old and all of that type of stuff. But we'll get his thoughts on that next week. But a lot of fun here tonight with you guys. Thank you guys for joining us here in the live chat, and for those that join in on demand, thank you very much as well. You can follow us on our individual social media accounts there in the description. You can follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Nation Sports Show, and where we are live on most Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock on the East Coast, 6 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, YouTube.com/Nation Sports Show. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to all your family and your friends that love the world of sports just as much as we do. And I do want to hit one real quick thing with you too, Joey, is that Arnold's trade with the Lions to Seattle has been held. It is not happening right now. So that is not happening as well for now. And I'm not surprised that that's not happening. But fun show here tonight with everybody here tonight. Can't wait to be back on here with you guys next week as we wrap up our conference previews, as we move to the NFC East and West, and then the first broadcast of September. We will be shifting gears into making our playoff predictions on who we think is going to make it and who's going to miss it. And that will do it for us here tonight. So with that being said, for K-Rod, Kevin Rory, for Ezra Vickery, for Joey Thornton, myself, Stephen Wyand, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. And also to our boy Hijacker Mike at Mr. Mac on Twitter, MISTAMACC on Twitter. You can follow him on Twitter at Mr. Mac. You can follow his cigar channel at Smoke in the Bay, THA Bay on Twitter. And that will do it for us here tonight. So again, for K-Rod, Kevin Rory, for Ezra Vickery, Joey Thornton, myself, Stephen Wyand, we thank you guys so much for tuning in here tonight and joining us here tonight for another latest edition of our Nation Sports Show. Have a great rest of your week and upcoming weekend. Enjoy the wrestling, enjoy some baseball, enjoy the preseason football, because football, baby, is back. Enjoy whatever else you get into. So with that being said, this has been another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. We'll see you next Tuesday. Same time, same YouTube channel. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up. Turn me up.
Thanks for watching this week's featured presentation of our Nation Sports Show.